What's going on, and welcome back to another less than 5 minute gear review. And in this video we're going to be going over the S&S Precision Triple M4 stackable pouch. In other words, it's just a triple mag panel. With that, this thing is going to cost you $135. It is super expensive, but there are some cool things about this pouch that justify the price. There is one thing though about this pouch that, after testing it out and running it for a while, makes it difficult to justify the price. So with that, I'm going to go through this entire thing so that way you can determine what's going to be best for you and your kit in comparison to a lot of the other products on the market. So that way your kit is set up to help you and enable you for your mission, your operational environment, and duty position. So with that, diving right into this thing is pretty much entirely made out of kind of a semi-elastic material, as well as the PVC kind of fabric materials that are out there right now. I don't know exactly which one they're making this one out of, but I do know that it is that PVC fabric material. With that, it is super water repellent. I haven't had any issues with this when it comes to staying dry and not having to worry about this thing when it gets wet. The front side of this and how this is set up on the front side, you have all of your laser cut moly, which is really nice. It creates a really tight fit, and this PVC material, both on the interior as well as on the laser cut side, helps really grip whatever you're passing through here as far as pouches, so that way nothing is shifting around. It's not moving at all, and when you stack pouches, everything is very, very secure, which is really, really nice. On the bottom side here, you have these laser cut circles. So when it comes to water, dirt, debris, all of that is just going to fall right out the bottom. You don't have to worry about that at all. So that is some really nice features when it comes to the front side. When it comes to the top, S&S Precision has their pull tabs. These things are really nice. They grip really easily. So whether you're barehanded or you have gloves on, super easy to grab these pulleys out of the way and your mags come right out. The mag pockets are each their own individual pocket for the most part, instead of some of the other products that are on the market that have just one solid piece of fabric on the front side and then your dividers are sewn in onto the interior. They make everything its own individual pocket, so each of these is individually holding its own magazine. So when you pull these pull tabs off, that little bit of like semi-elastic material is going to hold that magazine in place. Still super easy to pull the mag out, but it will retain it, so that way if you fall, trip, whatever, flip upside down, it should stay in place. On the back side, you have more laser cut moly. You have your moly straps and all of that, all the same PVC plastic fabric material. And then the cool thing too is you have this Velcro, so depending on the plate carrier and everything that you're setting up, you can wrap this around the plate carrier, specifically the plate frame and the plate frame modular, to help just keep things even that much more secure. I've never really used it when it comes down to it, but it is a nice thing to have in extra security and in setting everything up. So as a whole, this thing is a really, really nice pouch. I was running it for a really long time. The one issue that I have with this pouch is the offset of the moly off the top of the pouch. For me, when I was attaching these Blue Force Gear 10-speed pouches to the front of this to be able to hold some specific mission essential equipment that I needed, you have this offset and this hang to where when this is actually all set up and configured, there's about an inch of offset off the bottom of this. And what ended up happening was my optic would slide underneath this when I just had my rifle slung and I was kind of in a kneeling position working on casualties and training and all that. The optic would slide underneath that and then it would get stuck. So then when I would stand up, my whole entire like rifle would pull me back down because I couldn't stand up all the way. So that's like the biggest issue that I have with this pouch, is the offset of this laser cut moly. Now, if this laser cut moly was shifted just a little bit up, I would say that this is absolutely one of the best pouches in the market. I still think it's one of like the top pouches on the market, but that offset definitely for me is kind of something to take away in how they can improve their product just because of how it's offset so much. Because I mean, it's about a full inch from the top to where a lot of the other magazine panels that I have, the moly up top either sits flush with the top of the magazine pouch, so that way when you moly everything in, the top of the additional pouch that you're mulling in and the bottom of it is all sitting flush on essentially the pouch or the magazine panel as a whole. Where some of the other ones, it's maybe an eighth of an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch total where there's offset for the standard MOLLE and everything, where this is, I mean, it's a full like inch drop down. So for me, find like real attention to detail stuff and looking for what pouches have to offer and how they compete and compare to other pouches on the market. That's like the only downside to this pouch, aside from all of the really nice materials set up and everything, to where this is really easy to use and really nice to have. That one thing kind of takes away from all the good, in my opinion. But as a whole, when it comes down to it, if you're not running anything on top of this, I highly recommend it because I think it's an awesome pouch. If you're just running like flashbangs and you're not having like stackable mag pouches on top of this, it really doesn't matter, because those flashbang pouches just kind of sit flush as they are and how they're set up and configured, just because they don't use as much MOLLE on the backside. So with some of those other pouches, it doesn't really matter, but when it comes to these Blue Force gear ones that I have and setting those up, it does matter. So, but that's kind of the big takeaway when it comes down to the downside of it, or the con. Outside that, everything about this pouch is awesome and phenomenal. Hopefully with time, they'll just shift that up just a little bit, so that way everything sits a lot more flush. But with that, I really don't have anything else. I do recommend it when it comes down to it, because I do think it's a good pouch. So if you have any questions, please feel free, leave a comment. We'll answer any questions that you have and help you out with your setup. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.